Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. Hi. All right, guys. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of crap going on as normal. Can everyone hear me? Is this okay for everyone? I hope. I think it is probably. I do have a fan on, but I put on some filter things to hopefully so that you can't hear the fan and it won't affect stuff. Okay, let me see who we have here. Already. Okay, all right, let's see here. Macy, hello, Macy. Yes, so folks, I still need to fix the chain breaker emoji. That's not what it looked like when I uploaded it. I must have, God knows, I did something. Um, so thank you, Doug on the left. Thank you. Okay. We'll see about that. We'll see. By the way, folks, if you want to join our Discord, I pinned a link at the top of the page here for the Discord. Feel free to join it. We have a nice little growing community on there. Doug on the left, yeah, we've destroyed our relationship with Korea. I mean, it's just another day in America, right? Destroying relationships with allies left and right. Unless you mean North Korea, in which case I guess we didn't have a good relationship, but Macy, I can't unsee the fragility of democracy in this ever-changing, developing fascism. Can you fix that too? Yeah, it's kind of traumatizing, isn't it? So folks, Demosthenes, hello Demosthenes, welcome to Demosthenes, another staple here. Sir Bartholomew, hello Sir Bartholomew, always glad to see you around, Sir Bartholomew, another staple of the channel. Okay, Vexed UXR, hello, welcome to chat at Vexed UXR. Have you been here before, chat? Vexed UXR. Just out of curiosity. I don't recall seeing you in here, but maybe I am misremembering or something. Okay. Uh, okay. Nicholas, hello, Nicholas. Nicholas is back. Welcome back, Nicholas. Okay, guys. Meowzord, hey, Meowzord, our honorary Discord member here. Oh, Nicholas. I am so sorry to hear that. That is monstrous. This is a barbaric country. Nicholas says, I got disenrolled from Medicaid in New York City today. I now make too much money. Yep. The barbarism continues. Who cares about people getting sick and stuff? They should go bankrupt or whatever. They should lose everything because of our healthcare system. Okay. Thank you over there on Twitch. Boygim, hello, welcome. Nicholas, does CR also stream on Twitch? I do. Now, I saw someone in chat mention I should have an integrated chat. I do on the screen, the screen that you all see there, the chat that is on my live stream screen, I guess, is integrated. But is there a way to do it where you all can see those like in the YouTube chat? Just curious. I don't know if there is. If there is, let me know. Okay, good afternoon. Is that so, Meowzord? I will DM you. Thank you, Meowzord. Okay. Macon, hello, Macon. Welcome back, Macon. Fox Emblem, holding on to my job for dear life since we lost 1 million jobs since the end of last year to March. This is hell. Fox Emblem, we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, things aren't looking good. Okay. Oh, absolutely, Nicholas. Yeah, South Korea is a puppet state. Demosthenes. Oh, I already said yes. Hello, Demosthenes. Jonas. Hello, Jonas. Welcome, Jonas. Gotcha, Vexed. You are okay. That makes sense. I usually miss the streams. I doubt there is. All right, guys. So, okay, I got you guys. All right, so we're gonna do a few things. You'll notice, folks, I already have the jester hat and collar on because I'm gonna be doing a live reaction to. There were 2 new Prager videos posted. One about George W. Bush before 9/11, and then one about George W. Bush after 9/11. And I am going to do live reactions to those, and then, of course, I'll post them on YouTube like I normally do. We'll see how this goes. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I might have to react to the second one because if it's there's probably so much misinformation in the one about the Iraq War that I won't be able to cover it all live. So we're gonna do that, Nicholas. Yeah, we're gonna do these live reactions to those 2 videos. Then we have some news items to talk about. we're going to be talking about what's happening in Nepal. There's also a new report came out from the New York Times that 12th graders in the United States have like all-time low reading scores. Not a good sign. We also will talk about Israel today dropped bombs on Qatar in an effort to kill top Hamas folks there. The world is a dark place. And then we will also talk about what Fox Emblem mentioned, which was the things still aren't looking good with the job market, et cetera. And then we will be doing some Discord reactions, okay? Because I'm already wearing the Jester hat and Jester collar, we do have a 5 super chat goal right now. If we get to 5 super chats of 2, each one has to be $2, I think. So if we get 5 $2 chats or a $20 overall, I will put on the Jester makeup. And then if we get 10, I will stream for an extra hour because I already have all this other stuff on. Okay. So, all right. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. There isn't normally, I do an official lesson at the beginning, but I guess the reacting to the so the reactions to the new PragerU videos will kind of be a lesson, kind of, since we'll be talking about and 9/11 is coming up here, and we'll do a stream on about 9/11 when we get to that point. But okay, Jonas, welcome, Jonas. I'm surprised to hear that the U.S. economy is in decline. Didn't Trump's erratic trade policy fix everything? I know, isn't it shocking, Jonas? I thought that would fix everything. Oh, shocking that having an erratic trade policy, backstabbing allies and stuff, that doesn't have a negative impact, I'm sure. Okay. All right, you guys. So let's get into it. Let's get into these. I'm already annoyed. PragerU videos. Okay. Let me just check here. I want to just check a few settings, make sure everything is aligned here. Okay, good, good, good. So this is what we're going to do. As I react to these things, as it normally goes, because I'm going to be posting them to YouTube after, I will look at the chat after I finish reacting to the video. Please, but you all know, if you've been in here before when I've done live reactions, I want to hear what you have to say about it. Yeah, Fox Emblem, you're right. I think it was online to go into a recession, but he's accelerating it. Okay, so as I watch this video, please make comments. I will try not to look at chat. You all know I'm addicted to chat, so I will try to avoid it. And I'll try to look directly at the screen, and I'll also have to do my little plug at the beginning, so you'll have to briefly listen to that, and then we can watch it together. Oh, good God, help us. Okay. So let me make sure I got everything set up here. There we go. Hello, Dolly Boy. Hello. Okay. So here's the first PragerU video we're going to be reacting to, or I'm going to be reacting to, I guess. They only posted it, I think, yesterday or something like that. Do I even have the whole thing there? There we go. Okay. So we will see. We will see how this goes. Again, I will not be communicating with chat until after the video, but please say as much as you want. Okay. I am terrified to watch this. Let me just check a few things here. Let's see here. Is everything ready to go? Let me make sure it's capturing. I know, right? It's capturing everything.
No one.
Yeah, it's working. Okay. So I'm going to we'll turn it down a little bit. It's a bit loud, I think. Try it again here.
Live on September 11th, 2001.
Right, Big Brain?
Will ever forget the shock and
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Already annoyed. Okay. So let's do this. Again, folks, I'm going to do my little spiel. Please feel free to comment whatever you'd like. I'm excited. You all know I'm very excited to see what you all have to say about this, because I don't like suffering alone. And there is a reminder, folks, if we get 5 super chats, I'll put on the makeup, or if we get $20, whatever comes first. Okay. I'll put on the makeup. All right. Last few checks here. Make sure everything is in place. Okay. So again, folks, this first video is George Bush from Texas to Ground Zero. So this is before 9/11. Then the next one is 9/11, probably to whenever he left office. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to try to avoid looking at chat now. Okay, and I got to do my little intro thing here, so let's get into it. Uh, okay. All right, so here we go, folks. Take a drink. Got to make sure everything's in line. Also, please like the stream to get more people in here. Okay, here we go. If you like my content, you can click the join button beneath the video, and for as little as 99 cents a month, you can help support the channel and also get access to cute emojis and a cute little jester hat next to your name. You can also support me on Patreon for $5 a month. If subscribe if you like what you see, and let's go. So this is Prageru's one of Prageru's most recent videos. I think they only posted it a day or so ago. It's called George Bush from Texas to Ground Zero. I have not seen it yet. And PragerU is being promoted by the Trump administration to be used in schools and to replace PBS. It's already being pushed in a lot of red states, so God help us all. Let's see what they have to say. Okay.
No one alive on September 11th, 2001 will ever forget the shock and horror of that day. The unthinkable happened. Radical Islamic terrorists hijacked American airplanes and crashed them into buildings in New York and Washington, D.C., murdering 3,000 innocent people. The attack shattered Americans' sense of security. Surely another assault was coming.
I will say one thing here. There is an emphasis on the right wing of saying radical Islamic terrorists. And yeah, they were radical Islamic terrorists, but it is interesting how, like, when, for example, there is a radical Christian terrorist, that framing is never used, right? You never hear when there's like a mass shooting done by a radical Christian, or like the Ku Klux Klan, for example, is a radical Christian terrorist organization. You never hear it framed as radical Christian terrorism. And Timothy McVeigh, when he bombed Oklahoma City bombings, no one ever phrased it as radical Christian terrorism. It's really only used in the case of Muslims. Just something to note there.
But when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? The question preoccupied the nation's commander-in-chief, the 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush. If he had anything to say about it, the inevitable would never happen. George Walker Bush was born in New Haven, Connecticut, on July 6, 1946. Although he came from a prominent New England and proud Republican family, his character was formed by his upbringing in Midland, Texas, where his father and future U.S. President George H.W. Bush built a successful oil business. A blue blood with a cowboy spirit, young George went to Yale and later Harvard Business School.
Yeah, he did. Admittedly, he got an average grade, and as a teacher, I remember these things. He got an average grade of 77%, at least in his undergraduate, or was it his high school? One of the two, but he didn't do great at school at all. I think he actually got a C at Harvard or whatever it was. Didn't do that great at these institutions.
But instead of hitting the books, he hit the booze. Not surprisingly, his grades suffered. After graduating, he went into the Texas oil industry. But unlike his father, he didn't find oil. He did, however, find love. In 1977, he married Laura Welch, also of Midland, Texas. 4 years later, they had 2 children.
Okay, so I'm not a fan of George Bush here, but I will say it's kind of a cute story. Just they only knew each other for 3 months and then they got married. It's pretty clear they did love each other a lot. Regardless, it's just an interesting little side note there.
Twin daughters, Barbara and Jenna. Bush loved his family, but when he turned 40, he realized he had a drinking problem and needed to make a big change. With the help of family friend, the renowned Reverend Billy Graham, Bush became, in his words, a believing Christian. He never took another drink.
Okay, missing a lot here. So yeah, he had a drinking problem. That's a fault it was it's an addiction. Unfortunately, some people suffer through. He also got a DUI in Texas. He was pulled over for drunk driving. Maybe that did more of an impact. Also, he only said that his love of Jesus Christ and influenced by Billy Graham was responsible for him stopping drinking. That was during the election, maybe in an attempt to get more evangelical votes. But prior to that, he had said it was because his wife had essentially set an ultimatum that he better stop drinking. So it was probably more likely that it was a combination of the DUI and his wife putting an ultimatum on this that made him stop drinking. I really don't think it had much to do with the Christianity he apparently found.
He channeled his newfound energy into his father's 1988 run for the presidency. Bush's folksy, gregarious charm proved to be an asset on the campaign trail. If he didn't have the family knack for finding oil, he did have the family knack for politics. In 1992, his father lost his re-election to Democratic candidate Bill Clinton. Bush took it hard. But ironically, the defeat opened the door to his own political career.
That isn't terrible.
With the help
so
of
far.
gifted strategist Karl Rove, Bush ran for governor of Texas in 1994, taking on popular incumbent Democrat Ann Richards. She refused to take him seriously. This proved to be a fatal mistake, promising to cut taxes.
Okay. So they are leaving out a few things here. So the woman he was running against, okay, first of all, Karl Rove was a monster. He was jokingly called the Darth Vader of politics by commentators because he used very dirty political tactics. And this woman he was up against in Texas, Karl Rove actually started spreading the rumor that she was a lesbian, which if she was, who cares? But he did it in a very homophobic way, and then he then implied that she was going to stack the Texas government with a bunch of lesbians and homosexuals. And it was a very dirty political trick. So it wasn't that she underestimated him. They used extremely dirty tricks. And Texas is a blue state anyway. I mean, is a blue state, is a red state anyway. So kind of gross to leave that out. Karl Rove is not a pleasant guy. And yeah, he was one of the big reasons Bush got elected in Texas and got elected to the presidency because he used dirty tricks.
And reformed the state's education system, Bush won by a surprising margin, 54% to 46%. He won again in 1998 by an even larger margin, making him the front runner for the 2000 Republican presidential nomination. Bush campaigned as a
So they left out a lot of stuff. So while he was governor, he lowered the age um, to 14 for the age that children could be tried in adult courts for crimes. So he goes, yeah, let's lower the age to 14. So if you commit a crime when you're 14, you can be tried and sentenced as an adult. That's kind of brutal. He also, as I recall, sets the record for the number of inmates executed in Texas history. I believe he, during his time as governor, something like 150 executions took place in Texas. Not great. And what's also interesting about this, and of course, Prager, you would leave this out. They left out even some of the things he did that I would consider good. For example, he made Texas the largest producer of wind energy in the country. Now, don't get me wrong, he wasn't like this green guy, this like environmentalist in any way. But he did that, which could be viewed as a positive thing. Of course, she didn't mention that. He also tried to increase teachers' wages and stuff. Not necessarily successfully, but of course, PragerU will not talk about the things he did that actually may have done some good for people. Overall, though, not a great guy. Okay, just wanted to throw that out there.
Passionate conservative, seeking to unite the party's moderate and conservative wings, and beyond that, to appeal to independence in a divided country. Although he faced a strong challenge from Arizona Senator John McCain, Bush won the nomination, setting up a showdown with Clinton's vice president Al Gore in the general election.
Yep.
Gore should have had the advantage, since he was an incumbent during a time of economic prosperity and peace. But his awkward, stiff personality turned off voters, while Bush's easygoing manner resonated with the average American.
So, okay, again, maybe I shouldn't have paused it there, but also Bush got massive funding, campaign contributions, legalized bribes from the oil and gas industry, from construction companies, from all these other wealthy corporations who viewed it as in their best interest to support him, while Gore was more environmentally friendly. So it wasn't just this idea of, oh well, Gore was unlikable and Bush was likable. There was a lot of funding involved, and also Gore actually won the election. We now know that Gore won the election, but okay, well I'll see what they say here.
The election ended up being one of the most controversial in U.S.
Yep.
history.
Yes, it did.
Bush assumed he had lost when the major television networks declared Florida for Gore. Without the Sunshine State, Bush had no path to victory. Then, in the middle of the night, the networks reversed themselves. Bush had won Florida, and thus the election. Gore even called Bush to concede, only to retract his concession hours later. 36 days of recounts and lawsuits ensued.
Okay, so we now know, it's somewhat debated, but it's pretty well understood that Gore actually won that election through a series of pretty monstrous maneuvers. Republicans and stuff in Florida tried to discount certain ballots and things like that. But once there was a research study done later that showed that, Gore almost certainly got the most votes in Florida. And by the way, the news agency that first reported that he had won was Fox News, and they didn't have all the details in. And then all the other news agencies fell in line, and they're like, oh, well, Fox News got on it first, so we'll report that he won too. And we now know that he did not win. And it doesn't even, and even on that point, Gore got the national popular vote. So he actually got the most votes in the country, but because of our messed up way of doing elections through the Electoral College, Bush won, even though he actually didn't, because he actually lost Florida. So.
Throughout it all, Bush held on to his slim lead. In mid-December, the Supreme Court finally settled the contest in Bush's favor. With little foreign policy experience.
Okay, they're also skipping that. So the Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision said, Bush wins, which, by the way, was a pretty disturbing expansion of judicial power for them to come in and decide the election like that. They basically said, okay, stop the recounts, Bush won. That's not how a democracy is supposed to work, but they did it. And again, it was split 5-4. All 5 conservatives said yes, all 4 liberals said no. Not exactly a democratic way of doing things. And like I said, we now know that Gore won the election. But, whatever, who cares? Not a real democracy anyway.
Bush entered office with an agenda weighted toward domestic issues, cutting taxes, improving education, reforming Social Security, and adding a prescription drug benefit for senior citizens.
Details, please.
On September 11th, 2000.
No details. Okay, of course, Prageru. So they claim that he cut taxes. Yeah, he did. He actually cut taxes across the board. But for anyone watching this video on YouTube, can we guess what group of people got the largest tax cuts? It is America, after all. Okay, the wealthy. The wealthy got massive tax cuts. This actually massively increased the national deficit and the debt. These tax cuts did. It also, I believe, I'm going to go back briefly here. I believe she said that he tried to improve the education system. That is debatable. He passed something called the No Child
cutting taxes, improving education, reforming Social Security, and adding a prescription drug.
Yeah, he tried to, he passed something called the No Child Left Behind Act, which had very varied results, and it has caused a lot of problems in the United States. This is complicated, but it did not, for example, it punished schools by taking away funding taking federal funding away from schools that were doing poorly on standardized testing. Now, I don't know about you, but that's the last thing you'd want to do. If a school is having trouble educating its students, you might not want to remove funding. Maybe I'm crazy. There were some positive things about it. For example, there was an increase in reading and math scores because there was more accountability to schools to do better. But there was also a massive decrease in funding for social studies education, science education, and things that were not math and English and language arts. And if I don't know if anyone has noticed, but Americans kind of lack civic knowledge these days. And that might partially be because of the No Child Left Behind Act, reforming Social Security. He wanted to privatize it, et cetera. Okay. He did some prescription drug benefits, but they were kind of messing around the edges and weren't that great.
Benefit for senior citizens. On September 11th, 2001, everything changed. As Bush was visiting an elementary school in Sarasota, Florida, to promote his education policies, his chief of staff whispered these fateful words in his ear: "America is under attack." The president's safety uncertain, Bush was flown to a secure location in Nebraska, gathering as much information as he could. But by evening, at his insistence, he was back at the White House. He addressed the nation at 8:30 p.m. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. Within 3 days, he was at the site of the New York attack, already known as Ground Zero.
So I just had to point out something. One of the reasons why this attack happened was because there were massive failures in the American intelligence and security agencies. The FBI wasn't communicating with the CIA. The CIA was withholding information from the FBI. As a matter of fact, one of the people that died in one of the Twin Towers had previously been the head of sort of the Osama bin Laden research unit. And he left his job partially because people weren't listening to him about the threat from Osama bin Laden. And then he got a job as the head of security inside of one of the towers, and he died on that day. So Bush and his administration was partially responsible for the failures that day. It wasn't like he was reacting to something that he had nothing to do with. There's lots of other stuff involved in 9/11. I suspect the next video will get into it, so I won't go too deep into it. But this is much more complicated, obviously, than they're making it out to be.
With a bullhorn in his hand, Bush addressed a crowd of rescue workers. When one of them shouted, "We can't hear you," Bush responded with the most famous words of his presidency: "I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon." The crowd shouted back, "USA, USA."
Okay, so you can see here the sort of attempt to these things these are all true, okay, but there's sort of the sort of propagandistic nature of this, the sort of nationalistic patriotism that the video is trying to show here.
USA. George Bush was now focused on one goal: keeping the nation safe. Every day after 9/11 would be 9/12. I'm Elizabeth Spaulding, Senior Fellow at Pepperdine University's School of Public Policy and Chairman of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation for
The Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Interesting. I'm sure she has extensive expertise in this subject matter.
Prageru University. Thank you for watching this video.
All right. Okay.
To keep
Okay, chat. What do you got? What do you got over here, chat? I gotta see what you have. That actually wasn't horrible. They weren't like we'll see what the next one is, but let me see what we got here in chat. Okay. All right. I think we got some well, thank you for the super chat. Who sent that super chat? Let me see here. Thank you very much, Sir Bartholomew. Thank you for the super chat there, folks. If we get 4 more folks, I'll put on the jester makeup. Let me see what I got here. Okay. All right, guys. Just ask Trump how bad that was. He was there at the not right, Big Brain. Okay, Foxwell. I'm a seer. Blame the Middle East and ignore American imperial death camps. Oh, almost certainly, Foxwell. I'm sure we'll get to some of that in the next one. Meowzord. Oh, I see. Good morning. Hello, Mithra. Welcome. Meowzord. Hey, Mithra. We're being quiet while CR reacts, so use your inside voice. Okay, Macy. I've had to podcast about. Okay, I see here. Yeah, she does. I think she was reading off a teleprompter there, Big Braden. Okay. Yeah, Macy Schroeder, he quit drinking because God is a woman. Yeah, right. I always like that framing. He found Jesus. No. His wife who he did love. I'm not, don't like the man, but He was a human. He loved people. We love a feel-good, born-again Christian salvation Cope story. Yeah, and also, folks, he actually, when he was governor in Texas, he made a state holiday. I think he called it Jesus Day. You can look it up. He was very pro Christianity, bordering on Christian nationalism, if not was Christian. Yeah, Nicholas Time, Karl Rove. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah, pretty bad, pretty bad. Michael, bigotry is legal. It depends, Michael. Dally Boy. Oh, what an unsurprisingly gross man, right, Dally Boy? Okay. Nicholas Time. The stars at night are big and bright. Okay. Dally Boy. Where can we draw some more recent comparisons to a Dem who's had a good economy and their Republican counterpart has personality? Right, exactly, Dolly Boy, right, okay. By the way, folks, I mentioned how Bush got those tax cuts for the rich passed. Those also included a lowering of the estate tax, which is basically a tax put on wealthy people's property when they die. He lowered that. He lowered the capital gains tax, and there were five Democrats who voted for it in Congress because the Democrats were also corrupt. That's the only way they got it passed was with the support of some Democrats in Congress. Yep, Michael, the state decided the election. Jonas, imagine if this happened to Trump. It could have caused an insurrection, right? Right, Jonas. Hey, Lane. Hello, Lane. Macy, thank you. You phrased it better than I did in the video. Macy says, no child left behind removed a kid's incentive to work focus and work hard to stay on their grade. I'm sure this can be seen as bad, a non-issue, and maybe even a good thing. Yeah, you're right, Macy. No Child Left Behind is very complex. That's why I didn't get into it so much. There are still lots of debates about the benefits and drawbacks of it. I'm typically on the side of that it wasn't good. Focusing on standardized testing and things like that. But I don't think my point is strong enough to detract some of the good points on the other side. That's why I'm not fully against it, I guess you could say, fully devoted. Yeah, definitely, Nicholas. Okay. Where states that elections, Jonas, okay. People shouldn't vote on vibes, but they do. They do. Matt Sai guy. Hey, Matt Sai guy. Okay. Macy, okay, victims of fascism veiled as communism. There, I fixed it for you, right? Right. Macy, oh my God, Macy, you're right. I just realized what you meant there. That's perfect. Okay. Yeah, that one wasn't too egregious. I'm actually kind of disappointed. Okay. And won't make the best content. Oh, well. I'm a filthy capitalist. I can't help myself. Meowser, the crowd shouted, sir, it's a killing field out there. Please be a dictator and save us from these savage communists. That's kind of what happened. Nicholas, okay, I was working in that's what the State Department wants you to believe. Okay. Mithril, I was working in commercial security at the time. We did have a noticeable uptick in inquiries here in the USA. Interesting. That is interesting. Mithril. Okay. All right, guys. So again, folks, if we get 4 more super chats, I will put on the makeup. Let's do the next one now. I suspect I might have to redo this one because I suspect that this one is going to be a bit more egregious because this is about what is it called? George W. Bush, the War on Terror. I suspect this one will be worse. So I might have to redo it before I post it because I might need to go into more detail and to keep up with all the lies. So but we'll see here how it goes. Again, folks, as I'm watching it, please keep posting and stuff. And I will I'll look at the stuff later. I love, guys, I love looking at your chats and stuff. So, okay. All right. So here we go. Let's do it again. I got to do my little spiel here at the beginning, as you all know. Okay. All right. Here we go. I mean, a little drink first. Okay. If you like my content, please click the join button below. And for as little as 99 cents a month, you can support the work I do here on this channel. And you get access to exclusive members only emojis when I go live on live streams. Also, hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when I go live. You can also support me on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Help support my channel and what I do here. We're going to be reacting now to another Prageru video called George W. Bush, the War on Terror. Prageru is being pushed in schools across the country in red states and by the Trump administration. And Trump has said that he wants to replace PBS with Prageru programming. So we'll see what they have to say. Okay. This is George W. Bush, The War on Terror.
After radical Islamic terrorists struck the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on September 11, 2001, George W. Bush, the new 43rd President of the United States.
Just on a side note here, so that I mean, yeah, what she's saying is true. Okay, there was, of course, was another plane that went down in a field in Pennsylvania because the passengers on that plane actually fought back, and there was that famous line for that man who basically sacrificed himself the last line we have from him, because he called his wife or someone in his family and he said, "Let's roll," and they all worked together to remove the hijackers, and they died. They crashed the plane, but they saved a ton of lives by doing that. It should also be noted um, that well, you know what? I'll wait to see what else they say here.
Swung into action. His every thought was about keeping America safe.
Yeah, okay, I just sorry, I just remember what I wanted to say here. Also, the idea here, that you always hear the phrase "radical Islamic terrorists." Of course, I don't think they'd use the same framing for radical Christian terrorists, yeah, or radical Jewish terrorists or any other group, probably. Mainly, just Muslims.
Supported by a highly experienced team consisting of Vice President Dick Cheney, Secretary of State Colin Powell, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice.
Oh, well, that actually was nice. So Dick Cheney was a monster. I'll go into it more. And Colin Powell wasn't as much of a monster, but he was a liar, and then he felt bad about it later. Okay, Condoleezza Rice was also a liar, lied to the public multiple times about the reasons for the war. Donald Rumsfeld was a monster. Okay, very much promoted the war.
Bush, himself a former Texas Air National Guard fighter pilot, declared a war on terror. The real-life villain was Osama bin Laden, the leader of the Islamic.
So, by the way, folks, historians will frequently say that it is a very bad error of judgment to declare war on a noun, like the war on terror. Well, how do you win a war on terror? Terrorism is a method of political resistance, and it will probably always be around. Okay, it is the weapon that people use when they're in a disadvantaged position and they can't fight back through traditional means. So, how do you win a war on terror? There will almost always be terrorism. It sets a bar that can never be reached, and therefore will cause perpetual war. The very idea of having a war on terror is like saying, I'm going to have a war on grass, or I'm going to have a war on people drinking alcohol, or I'm going to have a war on drugs. Well, how do you win that war? So bizarre framing.
Islamic terrorist group al-Qaeda and the mastermind of the 9/11 attack. Bush emphasized that he would make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored.
I don't know if they'll talk about this, but this is something else that's really never talked about. Why was the United States attacked on 9/11? What was Osama bin Laden, who was also a monster, okay, just to be honest with you, why did he do this? What was the inspiration? Okay, first of all, Osama bin Laden was a wealthy elite. Okay, his father was the head of the Bin Laden construction company in Saudi Arabia. He was not like this innocent poor guy. He was wealthy. I think he was a billionaire, or at least, if not, he was hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, but the things he stated for the reasons he attacked the U.S. was the presence of U.S. military bases in Saudi Arabia. It also annoyed him that there were female soldiers on those bases, because he was a pretty unpleasant misogynist there. He also cited America's support for Israel as being another reason why he did these things. I am not justifying what he did, because he killed a bunch of very innocent people, okay? A bunch of very innocent people. But we should also understand the context in which this happened. It wasn't just like there were these radical Muslims who hate us. They hate our freedom. They hate us because they hate us. Historically, that's very, very that downplays a lot of the things happening here. And America did have a pretty damaging influence on the Middle East and stuff. And by the way, folks, if there was a foreign country with a military base inside the United States, How do you think Americans would feel about that? And again, our military bases are all over the world right now. Again, I'm not justifying the mass slaughter of over 3,000 innocent people, um, or a lot of the other things he did. I'm just saying we do need to think about these things rather than just doing this blanket, well, they hate us because they hate us.
For them. This put Afghanistan's Taliban regime, which had given al-Qaeda safe haven, in the crosshairs. In October 2001, Bush ordered military
this is going to take a while. So another thing here, folks, is the Taliban, right, which currently controls Afghanistan, used to control Afghanistan. One of the reasons they were able to gain power in Afghanistan was because the United States sent tons of weapons, ammunition, and money um, to the Mujahideen, who were basically fighters who were resisting the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan. We funded them. We sent them tons of money. And then the Taliban took advantage of that and kind of grew out of the Mujahideen, took those American weapons, and were able to seize control of the country. So, oops. Oops. We kind of created the Taliban. Also, we were involved in funding a lot of the Saudi um, hyper, I guess, right-wing mosques and things like that in Saudi Arabia. I can't remember the name of them right now, but that were promoting pretty extreme versions of Islam. And again, this is not about Islam, but so that kind. Again, we have a lot of culpability here for that.
Action in Afghanistan. Within 2 months, the Taliban was overthrown, replaced by a new government friendly to the United States. Osama bin Laden, however, evaded.
Okay, again, skipping a lot here. When we invaded Afghanistan, we basically used exactly. So we basically used there were warlords all over the place in Afghanistan, the Northern Alliance and other folks that we basically helped them do the job for us by funding them, giving them air support, giving them CIA. There was CIA on the ground, coordinating strikes and things like that. And these were not great people either. I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay, a lot of these folks had slaves. Some of them had child slavery. But then you'll notice, folks, that so at the time that this happened, there was all this media coverage about how the Taliban abuses women, and they did. They absolutely did. I'm not saying they didn't. But there was no one talking about how the groups we were supporting against the Taliban were like engaged in child slavery and also carried out some pretty horrific acts against civilians. So just something to think about. It was more complicated than just we went in there and did this.
Capture. Bush could have ended it there, but he worried that a new attack, perhaps of even greater magnitude, was inevitable. The main source of his fear was Saddam Hussein, the dictator of Iraq and longtime sponsor of terrorism. With a history of violating UN resolutions and fierce antagonism to the U.S., Hussein boasted about his nuclear weapons program.
No, he didn't have one. He didn't have one. As a matter of fact, there were multiple. The UN went in there a few times and didn't find anything. Saddam Hussein actually destroyed the majority of their chemical biological weapons previously. America didn't believe it, even though there were multiple reports from outside independent observers who said that he had. And I'm just going to go back here a second. They said that Saddam Hussein supported terrorism. I need to know more about that because at the time, the Bush administration was claiming that Saddam Hussein was directly supporting al-Qaeda, which was absolutely 100% not true. Not true. Okay. As a matter of fact, Saddam Hussein was an enemy of al-Qaeda. Saddam Hussein actually sent a representative to try and negotiate with America to prevent the invasion, and he offered to turn over some of the al-Qaeda folks that they had in prisons in Iraq. Okay, there was no link between Saddam Hussein and al-Qaeda. That was really heavily pushed by Dick Cheney, who was trying to get an excuse to invade Iraq. None of that happened. And by the way, folks, previously to this, we had funded Saddam Hussein. We had funded him. We had supported him against Iran in the Iran-Iraq war. So another imperial folly here. We previously supported the Mujahideen. They became the Taliban. We previously supported Saddam Hussein. Okay, even though we knew he was gassing his own civilians, like some of the folks in northern Iraq, excuse me. So again, the hypocrisy can't really go thought of. And then violating UN resolutions, he did that early on, but then later he didn't do it as much. But the United States violated all sorts of resolutions. They violated international law when it comes to attacking Iraq. Okay. Anyway.
Hussein boasted about his nuclear weapons program. The CIA and Great Britain's MI6 insisted it wasn't a bluff. The United States, Bush argued.
Okay, so the intelligence that the USA and Britain had was very faulty intelligence. A lot of folks within those organizations were like, this intelligence isn't good. But the people surrounding George W. Bush, especially Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and others, Paul Wolfowitz, there were other people around him who were very much wanting to go to war with Iraq because they had this neoconservative ideology, the idea that America should spread its values all over the world, and should democratize other places. And by the way, Dick Cheney, who at the beginning of Bush's administration made a deal with Bush where Dick Cheney would basically be in control of foreign affairs in exchange for being a vice president. Dick Cheney had previously worked for Halliburton, which is a massive oil company. And there were also a lot of oil interests involved in invading Iraq because Iraq had nationalized its oil. And there were a lot of folks that wanted, a lot of companies that wanted a stake in that oil. And also one of the biggest funders of the Bush campaign was the military-industrial complex. He received tons of donations from the military, from defense contractors and the defense manufacturers. So might that have also been a reason why to get involved in this war? It was a combination of factors, but this was not just about fear of Saddam Hussein, who was, he was a monster. I'll admit it. Okay, he was a horrible guy, but that was not why we got involved. We fund monsters. We support Saudi Arabia. We've supported lots of other monsters. Why was this monster bad? Worse than the others. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Also, one last thing here. There was another intelligence agency that was pushing this idea. Another intelligence agency that was pushing this idea that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. That was Israel. And one man in particular in Israel, his name was Benjamin Netanyahu, wrote an op-ed in the New York Times, trying to convince Americans, let's go attack Iraq. Even though it's pretty clear that that they knew that there really wasn't good intelligence on this, but they kind of pushed that narrative. And Netanyahu and he wasn't the leader of Israel at the time, but Netanyahu had long before this said that Israel needed to take out Iraq and Saddam Hussein in order to ensure Israeli domination of the Middle East and to protect Israeli interests. So just a few things here, okay, that they don't mention that are pretty vitally important.
Couldn't wait for threats to fully materialize. He declared that if Iraq did not abandon its weapons of mass destruction, America would act. When Hussein ignored him, Bush, with the support of both Republicans and Democrats, made good on his warning. In March.
Yeah, and by the way, there were tons of Democrats who also voted to go to war. To make sure you take a look at modern-day Democrats and see who voted for this. There were a few who didn't vote to go to war, including Bernie Sanders, who said no. There were others too who said no that are quite heroic for doing so, because there was a massive amount of pressure at the time to do it. You have to understand that and I lived through this, I remember this. There was a lot of anger and fear at the time in America, okay? And it was pretty easy to convince the American population to go after Iraq because they were still upset about 9/11. It was easy to sort of stereotype and claim like these Muslim extremists. We could just, let's go after them too. They're threatening us. And those lawmakers that pushed back against this were pretty heroic and brave that they did this. So there were a few that did. Most fell in line. Okay. So just something to think about. All right.
2003, U.S.-led forces invaded Iraq. Within 1 month, Hussein was gone. And within 2 months, Bush stood on the deck of an aircraft carrier in front of a banner that declared mission accomplished. Bush looked like a bull.
Oh, that's hilarious. So yeah, I remember that moment. I remember I was alive when that happened, and he stood in front of this banner that said "Mission Accomplished." But fortunately, the war lasted many more years. But I guess mission accomplished. Um,
Decisive leader prepared to do whatever was necessary to protect the homeland. Voters rewarded him with a victory over the Democratic candidate, Massachusetts Senator John Kerry, in the 2004 presidential election. As Bush's second term began, however, the situation in Iraq deteriorated.
by the way, folks, whenever there's a wartime president, they typically are very popular at the beginning. They make it seem like John Kerry was just not as good as Bush. Well, no, I mean, Bush was popular because he was a wartime president. People were upset about 9/11. He kind of capitalized on that. It's more complicated why Kerry lost than just that he wasn't as good of a candidate.
The original plan to depose Hussein had morphed into a plan to remake the country into the first Arab democracy. The idea, the thinking went, was that if Iraq could become democratic, other Arab countries would follow. America hastily organized a Western-style election, but Iraqis' tribal hatred for each other soon erupted. The U.S. was caught.
Okay, again, missing a few small points here. So after the basically peace was signed, part of the agreement was that American companies would have access to drilling and oil rights inside of Iraq. Coincidence? I don't know. Also, the same thing, by the way, with the UK. For those that are watching this that are from the the UK got some of that. A lot of different countries who were involved in this coalition that went into Iraq also got oil and drilling and resource rights as part of the peace agreement. So there's that little side note here. Yeah, well, I'll continue here. I'll continue. I'm going to go back a little bit. I may have missed a little point here. All right.
Election, but Iraqis' tribal hatred for each other soon erupted.
Tribal hatred for each other. Well, isn't that an interesting phrase? Tribal hatred. So these are not tribes. First of all, there were different sects of Islam. There are Shia and Sunni. There's others as well, of course. But a lot this idea that it was because of all this tribal hatred that there was like chaos in Iraq is very unfounded. You could also frame it as there was a lot of resistance to American occupation, and America had come in and left a massive power vacuum in the region and in Iraq, which allowed for a lot of chaos and a lot of infighting and things like that. So to blame it on the Iraqis for being the ones who are invaded and saying, well, it's their fault because of all these quote unquote tribal hatreds is really missing the point here. It also, by the way, once we kind of created this power vacuum in Iraq, it allowed outside actors to come in and also cause destabilizing things like Iran, for example. So, okay, of course, blaming the victims as always.
The U.S. was caught in the crossfire. American casualties mounted monthly, and the American public soured both on the war and on the president they had recently reelected. Bush's problems were compounded when, after an extensive search, no weapons of mass destruction were found, undermining the rationale for the invasion. Things went from bad to worse in August 2005. A massive hurricane, Katrina, devastated New Orleans, killing over
So is that all we're not gonna talk about the other things like Abu Ghraib? What about Guantanamo Bay? I'll talk about it later if they don't. The war crimes, the hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians who died in the war, the thousands of American troops that died in the war. We're just going to kind of skip over that. Okay.
1,000 people and destroying billions of dollars in property. The media blamed Bush. A photo of the president looking down on the city from Air Force One, rather than being on the ground with those suffering, became the disaster's defining image. That Bush couldn't control the weather and was not responsible for the city's inadequate infrastructure was ignored.
Yeah, and Bush was on vacation literally when the hurricane hit, and it took him like a couple extra days, 1 or 2 days, to even go to see the effects of Hurricane Katrina. He also had sort of incompetently handled FEMA and things like that. He didn't declare an emergency for many of the parishes that were the worst hit before the storm. He didn't declare an emergency for them. Um, anyway.
Things seemed like they couldn't get any worse. They did. In late 2007, the country was hit with a major financial crisis. Once again, Bush took the blame for something for which he was not responsible. For a decade, government policies, begun in the Clinton administration, encouraged banks to throw out the traditional lending standards by which they measured a home buyer's creditworthiness. By the early 2000s, one could buy a home without making any down payment at all, something unheard of.
By the way, who was the president in the early 2000s? That would be George W. Bush, and he greatly deregulated a lot of the economy, including the banking sector, and that those tax cuts also allowed for more volatility in the markets because then the wealthy and such had more money to spend on these bad assets. So he was partially responsible for the financial crisis. Of course, they're going to go back to Clinton, but hey.
In previous generations. By the late 2000s, the bubble was ready to burst. When Bush refused to bail out Lehman Brothers, a legendary Wall Street banking firm enmeshed in home loans, it did. Against his free market instincts, Bush committed $700 billion to rescue the mortgage industry, an act some say saved the economy, but left Main Street angry that it was footing the bill for an irresponsible war.
Yeah, because Main Street should have been angry. Our tax dollars went to bail out some of the most profitable corporations in the world. And by the way, there's another way to bail out people. Why don't you give the tax dollars back to the people who need it now to pay their mortgages and to survive? Kind of like what we did during COVID, right? When we gave people checks to help them survive, and then that money would recirculate throughout the system, go up the chain, and also in the end benefit the corporations. I mean, admittedly, it wouldn't have been good if those companies crashed, but that's a problem, right? That's called moral hazard, where you allow the companies to get so big and powerful that they can't collapse, which makes them more willing to take massive risks. Because if they know the government's going to bail them out, then who cares, right? They'll be fine. Their stockholders will be fine. And by the way, a lot of those companies that were bailed out by Bush ended up giving their CEOs massive bonuses from our tax dollars.
Wall Street. Bush's approval rating fell to a dismal 25%. Yet amid all these setbacks, Bush did something quite extraordinary, an act of true courage. When almost all his advisors, both military and political, told him to cut his losses and accept defeat in Iraq, he refused. He believed that such an action would irreparably damage both America's security and credibility.
So you could say that's brave, or like he refused. The advice of all of his experts were telling him that, he should get out and things like that. But he's like, no, that would damage our credibility. See, that sounds like a dumb move to me, right? If all your experts are around you saying, "Hey, we can't win this war. It's a shit show. Maybe we should get out." And you're like, "No, I don't want to." And folks, part of the reason he didn't want to is because it would make him look bad. The same thing happened in the same thing that happened in Vietnam. A lot of the presidents who knew that we couldn't win the war refused to be the ones to get us out of it because they were afraid of the political ramifications of being the ones that got us out of it. It would make it look like they were the president that lost the war. Okay?
With its allies. Rather than drawing down forces, he decided in January 2007 to increase them.
A strategy that... Okay, by the way, folks, also, this... okay, all this military spending is one of the reasons we have such a big debt today in the United States, okay? Like, this added trillions of dollars to the deficit. And like they said, his military advisors like, we can't win. And he's like, okay, fine, we'll send more troops. Like, further increasing the deficit and the destruction and the oppression of the Iraqi people. But if you just care about the financial part of this, those are our tax dollars and being funneled into this endless war and putting us massively into debt, which on top of his tax cuts, by the way, there was a budget surplus after Clinton. Clinton left us with a budget surplus, and then suddenly you get Bush. Bye-bye budget surplus. And since then, it's only been downhill.
Came to be known as the Surge. It worked. By the following year, American casualties had dramatically diminished. When he handed the presidency over to his successor, Barack Obama, there was a clear path forward for both Iraq and the U.S. economy.
Was there?
It was an impossibly difficult 2 terms, but Bush could point to one undeniable fact. After 9/11, there had not been another such attack on American soil. I'm Elizabeth Spaulding, Senior Fellow at Pepperdine University's School of Public Policy and Chairman of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation for Prageru University. Thank you for...
Okay. All right. Okay, Chad, I gotta see what you have to say here. Oh, I bet there's a lot of good ones. That was pretty bad. Okay, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, folks, again, if we get 4 more super chats or $20, I will put on the jester makeup, okay? Okay, let me see here. Oh my god, so many good ones. Okay, Mithril, Meowzord, yeah, I wonder if they'll downplay Operation Neptune Spear. Obama did it, but like thanks to Bush. Yep. You're right. Condoleezza Rice was definitely didn't get along very well with Muammar Gaddafi. Well, you see, Muammar Gaddafi was obsessed with her, which was kind of funny. Mithril, 19 of the perpetrators were Saudis. Of course, Mithril. Yes, Mithril says 19 of the perpetrators of the 9/11 attacks were Saudis. Bush left the Saudis well alone. I wonder why. The authoritarian regime of Saudi Arabia, very good allies of ours who we fund and even funded their genocidal attacks on the Yemenis. Yeah, we didn't do anything about them, did we? It just had to be Iraq, and it had to be who didn't have anything to do with it. Okay. They attacked because they hate our freedom or something, right, Macon? It always comes down to Western influence in the Middle East 100%. Meowzord, Matt Saigai. It's funny how they're trying to establish a state with the same values that of the Islamic theocracies they claim to despise. Oh my God, you're so right. You're so right, Matt Saigai. You're so right, Matt Saigai. Jonas Hassan. See, I always thought the hatred for Americans manifested out of thin air. Right, Jonas? Yeah, no, don't you love that when people say that? Like, oh, they hate us because they hate us. Their hatred just comes because they're Muslims and they're savages and they're okay. Like all the dehumanization that implies is just insane to me. Meowzord, European colonialism, post-World War I, League of Nations, discovery of oil, Cold War, Gulf War. Yep, Meowzord. Blowback, 100% Nicholas time. Okay, Espion. The concept of U.S. having international military bases is strange. U.S. imperialism is a different breed, 100%. And as I've said on stream before, folks, America has an empire. All right? I mean, like, if you look at any comparable empire in history, we have an empire. We have military bases all over the place, right? I mean, yeah, okay. Mark Freeman, that was after Russia invaded Afghanistan, correct? If you're referring to the Mujahideen and the Taliban and things like that. Our funding of the Mujahideen, the weapons we gave them ended up being gotten in the hands of the Taliban and then allowed them to take over the country. Mocha, any mention of Iraq just makes me sad at this point. Oh, I know. Me too, Mocha. Macy Schroeder, sun never sets on the American industrial complex. Yes, Macy. Or the empire, literally. I know what you're referring to there. Vexed, I wonder who else has a history of violating U.S. resolutions. Who do we think, Vexed? Who do we think? Okay. Mithril, Saddam and white U.S. Bostonians supported terrorism in the form of the IRA. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, Mithril. You're right. Some of the IRA's biggest funders are Irish Americans. I think the IRA is kind of cool though. But anyway, I shouldn't say that on live stream. Okay, Mark Freeman, the U.S. supported the Hussein regime during Iraq's war against Iran. The U.S. vetoed UN resolution. Yeah, exactly, Mark. Like, think about that, folks. Like this is the folly of empire, right? You support someone, then they become your enemy. You support them, they become your enemy. And it's this ongoing cycle of violence and backstabbing and things like that. We were very supportive of Saddam Hussein previously. Macy Schroeder, Saddam wasn't effing Satan. Well, okay, admittedly, Macy, he kind of was Satan, but not for the reasons that the United States was going after him for. He was a monster. His sons were monsters. They gassed a ton of their own people. If anyone's interested, there's that famous scene where he brought a bunch of his cabinet ministers and government officials into a big meeting, and he had the ones he accused of being traitors hauled out and executed. He was a really unpleasant guy. But again, folks, we have supported lots of very unpleasant people, including the regime of the Saudi regime, other horrific regimes throughout time. And so it's interesting how like that doesn't have to. We don't care that he's a dictator or that he violates the rights of his civilians. Okay, we just that's just an excuse. Okay. Uh, okay. I mean, hasn't the U.S. supported most of the that are now present in the world? Yep, they have. They have, Mass Eye Guy, Mithril, Alistair Campbell's doggy dossier here. Yep, Mithril, good point. I forgot to mention that. Espion, the U.S. seems to support countries who are equally evil as them and backstabs them to claim innocence 100%. Meowzord, are we the baddies? Yeah. Okay. Yep, the project for the new American century, Nicholas. A nation that nationalizes oil points at Venezuela. Ha! Right, have you noticed that, Dolly Boy? There seems to be a correlation there. There was another country, by the way, who tried to nationalize their own oil. It was called Iran. It was called Iran, and then suddenly the CIA overthrew the government of Iran with the help of the UK, by the way. The UK is not innocent in this, and installed the Shah. And for some reason, Iran really hates us today. I wonder why. I wonder why. Shocking. Um, the US vetoed you. I didn't know that, Mark. I did. I forgot about it, though. You're right. The US actually vetoed UN resolutions condemning Hussein for gassing his own people. The US is one of the very few nations that have veto power. I forgot about that, Mark. Disgusting that we did that. Um, okay. Yep. Yep. For all those mentioning Mossad and Israel. Yep. Okay. Yep. Hans Blix was ignored 100%. Barbara Lee. Oh, yeah, Barbara Lee, she also voted against it. Joe Biden whipped votes for the war. Yeah, Joe Biden, gun ho, let's slaughter. I love bombing countries guy. Matt Saigai, identify places we can exploit, overthrow existing democracy, install puppet regimes that favor us. When the local people revolt, complain about it, and destroy and destabilize the country. Matt Saigai, you should write a PhD. You should do a PhD dissertation on this. Yep, that's the process. Okay, he looked like a fool. Yeah, mission failed successfully. Iraq has been a train wreck ever since. Yeah, the Iraq is not in a good place. Uh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right, big brain. Canada did stay out of the war. Iraq, yes. Okay. You're right, Matt Saigai. That the colonial language that Prageru uses, like tribal warfare. No, these were not tribes. Okay, like yeah, it's very colonial language. Yeah, you're right, Mocha. And by the way, folks, who was it? I think was it Tucker Carlson who during the Iraq war, he literally, and I'm sorry to say this, folks, is gross, but I'm just repeating what he said. He said that the Iraqis are monkeys. I mean, that is absolutely despicable, disgusting language. The media really tried hard to demonize and dehumanize Iraqis, who, by the way, are human beings. I know, shocking, right? They're human beings. Okay, Mithril Kurds and Marsh Arabs, to name a few, after years. Yeah, they did. The Kurds and the Marsh Arabs were massacred by Saddam. Um, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Dolly Boy, about New Orleans. Yep, they're still suffering. They still haven't been fully fixed here. Um, and you guys are right. Iraq was the cradle of civilization, okay, for 100%. And by the way, during the Islamic Golden Age, Baghdad was basically the center of science and knowledge in the world, okay? And it later got looted and destroyed by the Mongols, but I mean, yeah. Um, Okay. All right, guys. This is great. Thank you everyone for these chats. Okay. I'm gonna put my face back up here. So thank you for watching this with me. Well, that's all we got for today. If we get 4 more super chats, I'll put on the jester makeup. Okay, let me go back to my face here. Okay. Now, folks, I'm going to briefly, I have to go take a biology break. So I'll be right back. But then when we get back, when I get back, I'm going to talk about what's happening in Nepal. And then there's some other very interesting news things that came out today. So please excuse me for a second. I don't want to, cause a mess on my chair here. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Mocha. Thank you for being here. Okay. Give me a second, folks. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, guys, I'm back. Hope I didn't lose everyone. Hope I didn't lose everyone. Okay, guys. Let's see here. All right, what I missed? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Okay, let's see what we got here in chat. Okay, good. You all still here. Fantastic. Okay, guys. So I wanted to show you something real fast because I got something in of a family member of mine got this for me. I thought you all might appreciate it. I haven't taken off the tags yet, but look. I'm very excited. Ooh, it's a jester. You see, it says the Fool, and it has it's like a jester shirt. Isn't that cool? I love it. Ooh, nice. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to show that off. So let me uh let's talk about some of the things happening. There's a lot going on in the news right? Isn't that cool? Um uh yeah, I do. It is a tarot card thing. I don't think they knew that when they got it, but I still like it because it does have the jester on there. It has a fool on there. So anyway, okay, guys. Again, if we get 4 more super chats, thank you, Alyssa. I will put on the makeup. And then if we get 10 more, I'll stream for an extra hour. All right. So, um, okay. All right. So let's get into it. So there have been a lot of chat in our Discord. And by the way, folks, I recommend you join our Discord channel if you haven't. I posted a link at the top. I pinned a chat at the top of the chat that you can click the link. Let me know if it works. If you try and it doesn't work for some reason, it hasn't been working. And it'll allow you to join our Discord. We have a great community on there. One of the friendliest, most supportive communities I've ever been in. On Discord, please join. You can also in our Discord, you can put videos in the reaction channel that I will react to on stream. Okay, guys. So let's take a look here at some of the stuff going on in the news. One of the things I wanted to talk about was what is going on in Nepal. I really wish that there were more Americans willing to engage in the same sort of resistance that we're seeing in Nepal. Sorry, I wanted a donut. Okay. So Nepal suffers from pretty crippling corruption, and a lot of the young folks there, especially Gen Z, have been very upset by this. The shows of displays of the wealth of the children of the leadership. Of Nepal. Oh, really, Matt? Well, Matt Saiga, I'll react to it. I'll react to it today because after this, I'm going to do some reactions if we have time. Okay. I apologize, Matt Saiga. I sometimes miss some of them because there's so many in there, but I'll take a look at it. Okay. So they were very upset about this, and in response to a lot of this anger on social media about the corruption of the elites, the government of Nepal shut down social media, which is a very authoritarian move, and this sparked nationwide protests that became very violent in terms of the government killed a bunch of people, shot into the crowds, started killing protesters, and then the government then rescinded that ban on social media, and the prime minister of Nepal has now resigned. So I just wanted to watch this video with you guys. This is a short video about what's going on there from Channel 4 News. Let's take a look at it together. Okay. And I don't want to. I think it's illegal for me to promote this kind of thing, but I'm just saying, in theory, wouldn't it be nice if Americans were just as upset about corruption in the United States, which is prevalent and everywhere, and is causing massive problems in our country? Okay, so let's watch it, and here we go. We'll see what this news report has to say about it.
Look carefully at the guy in the green. Hit at speed, but then gets himself up.
Yeah, Matt Saiga.
At least 20 people have now been killed in anti-corruption clashes in Nepal, with hundreds more injured.
Badass. Keep fighting.
This is the motto of our protest, fighting against corruption.
Yeah. High-velocity water cannon and tear gas were the weapons of choice for police against what organisers have dubbed the Gen Z protests. So how did this all start? Young people have been taking to the streets to rally against a government social media ban that saw the likes of Insta, X and TikTok taken away. This came after a Nepo Kid campaign put the spotlight on the lavish lifestyles of the children of politicians. But the problems run deeper. Youth unemployment is high across Nepal, and claims of government corruption are rife.
Sound familiar,
All the
folks?
Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption. Every youth are going outside the country, so we want to protect our youth and make the country's economy better. For that, we need a new youth, new power, and new politicians who are well educated to move the country forward.
Under pressure, the government lifted the ban, and the Prime Minister has now resigned. They had said after an emergency meeting on Monday that they made decisions to address the demands of Gen Z. But the government had justified the ban by saying they wanted to tackle fake news,
Fascists.
hate speech and online fraud, an argument young protesters just weren't buying.
Notice, folks, the language there that the Nepalese government uses, kind of similar to Trump, trying to combat fake news, okay? Authoritarian language is pretty similar in a lot of places.
Our demand and desire is for peace and to end
Indeed.
corruption so that people can actually work and live back in the country. We will work to continue pressure on the government.
The clashes haven't stopped. Kathmandu's international airport suspended flights, and the
Right, Alyssa?
former Prime Minister's residence has been ransacked by protesters. But with the indefinite curfew seemingly being ignored and protests spreading to other regions, anger towards the
Yep,
government
SBM.
shows no signs of letting up.
Well, we're joined now by Nayana Prakash, who is a
And
research
yes, Matt,
fellow
hi,
at
guys.
Chatham House. Thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to start by asking, what's your reaction to what we're seeing in Nepal?
As much as it may seem that these protests have come.
Yeah, and folks, for those who are in the UK, I mean, the government there has been massively cracking down on speech, have they not? I need to read more about this, but I know like Palestine Action stuff has been massively suppressed. I've seen so many videos of people getting arrested just for basically speaking their minds about Palestine. I would need to look more into this, but yeah.
Seemingly overnight with very little provocation. The idea of, the frustration with corruption in the current and, well, the former government has been there for quite some time. And the social media ban is only the kind of the straw that's broken the camel's back in this instance.
What did the government say? What was their reasoning behind the social media ban in the first place?
So social media bans like this typically happen when the government wants social media companies to comply with governmental, governmental norms and the way of doing things in that particular country. It's not unusual in South Asia. We've seen that happen in India, obviously in Nepal's neighboring country, obviously China not far away as well. So social media companies simply had to register with the Nepalese government in order to continue doing business in that country. Many of them failed to do so and were thus banned, which triggered protests which were sparked by but not limited to social media.
Okay, so I just wanted to watch that first opening part there. So that's what's going on in Nepal right now. Very interesting situation. But folks, Dolly Boy, that makes sense. I did read about that. Dolly Boy says, "Oh yeah, PM is an absolute Zionist. So is everyone in the cabinet, all funded by Zionist groups. Disgusting." Right, Matt Saiga, also in India. Okay, so again, this is just an interesting situation, right? Like, I'm not. But notice that this kind of worked, right? The government had to. Now, obviously, this is a different country, different economic situation, different government, et cetera. But, this pressure on the government worked, all right? Like the PM resigned. They rolled back those banning of the social media. So this kind of resistance can work. Of course, for legal reasons, I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, okay. Okay, so just interesting, something that's going on over in Nepal right now. Now, there's some other things I wanted to chat about as well. Let me go back to my face here. Let me see here again, folks. If we get 4 more super chats or $20, I will put on the jester makeup. Let's take a look. I lost myself. Okay, so I also wanted to talk about a few news items from the United States here. There's a lot going on, well, also across the world. So here's another thing. So now we're going to watch a CNN clip. You should never fully trust CNN. Okay, obviously. But this morning, Israel dropped bombs on Doha, which is a city in Qatar, in an attempt to kill Hamas negotiators that were in Qatar. Okay. Obviously, blatant violation of international law, but it's Israel. What do you expect? Okay. It's pretty horrifying turn of events. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's see what CNN has to say about this. I probably could have found a better clips of this. I haven't seen this, so we'll see how they do. And you'll notice even the framing up here. It says Israel targets Hamas leadership in Doha with quote precise strike. So we will see. We'll see. Okay, let's see how this goes.
This is CNN breaking news.
All right, we do have breaking news. We are getting reports of explosions in Doha, the capital of Qatar, and beginning to see pictures coming back from that capital city. And we are getting word that this was part of a targeted Israeli attack. Let's get right to CNN's Jeremy Diamond in Jerusalem with the very latest. Jeremy, what have you learned?
John, this is an absolutely extraordinary moment that we are witnessing right now. A very large plume of smoke above the Qatari capital of Doha, and paired with that, an Israeli military statement saying that they have...
Can I just say, folks, I know I'm probably going to get a bunch of emails from Zionists. I always do. Like, I got another one today, whatever. I don't care. Israel is a rogue state. It is a rogue state. It is on par. Like, if you want to criticize North Korea or Iran or whatever, on par, violating international law constantly. By the way, the United States is largely a rogue state too. But my point here, it is a rogue state. It is a terrorist state. The government, I should say, is terrorist. Okay, these are terrorist actions that the Israeli government is doing. But apparently, that we can't say that. Israel has been bombing all the countries around it for many years, by the way. Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, now Qatar, Iran. Okay, I mean, what else? Like, anyway, it is infuriating to me that our tax dollars go to this monstrous government. Okay.
Have, quote, conducted a precise strike targeting the senior leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization, end quote. I have just gotten off the phone with an Israeli official who confirmed...
Oh, Meowser, that's interesting. I'll take a look at that. I'll definitely take a look at that. That's very interesting.
To me, that statement is indeed about that very same blast in Doha, meaning that the Israeli military, not even Israel's intelligence service, but its military, actually conducted a strike in Qatar targeting Hamas's leadership. And of course, the moment in time at which this is happening, amid this renewed push to negotiate a ceasefire and hostage release deal by the United States.
Yeah, and think about that, folks. All this stuff that Israel wants a ceasefire, they want to release the hostages, they will stop the attack as long as Hamas releases the hostages and, puts down their arms. You're bombing where negotiators are while there's a negotiation going on. And where America's trying to end the war. Certainly doesn't seem like a good faith attempt to do that if you are bombing people in the midst of that.
President Trump putting a lot of political capital behind that, and now Israel seems to have targeted the very Hamas leadership that is in the midst of those negotiations. Doha, the Qatari capital, is where several senior Hamas leaders are currently based and have been based throughout much of this war in Gaza, namely Hamas's leader, Khalil al-Hayya. Khalil al-Hayya has been not only Hamas's leader in the wake of the killing of Yahya Sinwar, but he has also been the chief negotiator, engaged not only through the mediators, but also at times with U.S. officials in negotiations over the future of the war in Gaza, the future of the fate of the hostages being held in inside the Gaza
Right,
Strip
Dolly Boy, right.
throughout these nearly 2
Yeah,
years.
that's a good point, Dolly Boy. I'm sure maybe Qatar was building weapons of mass destruction, right? That's why.
Of war. We are also learning via Tal Shalev that the targets do indeed include Khalil al-Haya, who I was just talking about, and another official by the name of Jabarin. It's unclear as of now what the results of this strike were, whether or not Hamas's leadership in Doha has been killed, who has been killed, whether any of them are injured. We simply do not know at this stage. But the reporting this hour, John, is sure to be an earthquake in this region, not only for the prospect of negotiating a ceasefire agreement to end the war in Gaza, to secure the release of the hostages, but also as it relates to Israel's relations with these Gulf countries. Although Israel does not have official formal diplomatic ties with Qatar, Qatar has been the key mediator in these ceasefire negotiations throughout the war. It has been a key partner in trying to reach some kind of an agreement here, and this will certainly damage those relations as well going forward.
I want to put a little more context around this, Jeremy.
Also, you're bombing the country that is attempting to mediate the ceasefire. I mean, like,
because this is an extraordinary event, and I mean that quite literally. I don't believe there is any precedent for an Israeli military attack on Qatar, at least not that I can remember, and I think the Israelis will say it's not on Qatar, but it certainly is in Qatar. It was an air attack which had targets inside the capital city.
You notice how nervous he is, though? He's like, I don't know, the Israelis, no, they'll say it wasn't on Qatar, but it was definitely in Qatar. Okay, bombing another country is bombing another country. Why do you got to be so scared of saying that?
So that in and of itself, as you say, is something we just haven't seen. And also the targeting of Hamas leadership fits a pattern now that we have seen from Israel over the last, 18 months. The assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, inside Lebanon. Yawash Sinwar, the operational leader of Hamas inside Gaza itself. But now to go after the Hamas officials who openly operate inside Qatar, a very significant development. What might that mean for negotiations?
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders and marketers don't quite know how to look up their competitors' marketing.
Listen, it was in the first days of the war that Israel's security establishment and its political leadership made very clear that at the end of the day, whether it would take months, whether it would take years, they would go after every single member of Hamas whom they ultimately deemed responsible for the horrific attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. And we have watched them tick down that list over the course of nearly 2 years of war, both inside the Gaza Strip, where they killed Yahya Sinwar, who was Hamas's the primary architect of that October 7th massacre, ultimately rose to become Hamas's overall leader, both inside and outside of the Gaza Strip, whether it was Ismail Haniyeh, whom the Israeli Mossad killed in a special operation inside the Iranian capital of Tehran.
That's what you just mentioned there,
when you were talking about
Dolly Boy.
Iranian proxies outside of Israel, like, as you said, the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. I mean, Israel has been going down its enemies list over the course of the last 2 years, and this certainly appears to be a continuation of those efforts, and also making clear from the Israeli side that they do not see a distinction between the political leaders of Hamas, the leaders of Hamas's political wing, and the leaders of Hamas's military wing. And this is...
By the way, folks, there's another thing here, too, just when it comes to strategy and negotiations. How do you negotiate with a group if they have no body left for negotiations, right? Like if there's no leadership there, if you're always killing the leadership, there will be no one left to there will be no one to negotiate with. If you cut the head off the snake, like, I mean, the body will just keep. Do you see what I mean? Like it makes it impossible for there to be negotiation. Like I don't. Anyway, you all know this. I'm frustrated. Okay.
Yet another example of that, and a way that the Israelis are demonstrating that not only is no one outside of their reach, but that they will, go to any lengths, including striking inside of a country like Qatar, which has been a reliable mediator between the Israeli and the Palestinian side, that they will go and conduct these strikes. And again, just to focus on the timing of this, John, it is not the first time that we have seen at a very critical juncture in these ceasefire negotiations that Israel has gone and killed the primary negotiator or decision maker on the other side. Again, we do not yet know whether Israel was successful in this strike in terms of eliminating Hamas's leadership.
You notice he seems a little agitated when he says that. I'm very proud of this guy for actually saying it. Hello, J-Mac. Welcome back, J-Mac. I'm very proud of him for saying that. Like you can see in his voice, he seems rather upset. Okay. Yes. Dolly Boy, it's so ridiculous that they blatantly show that they don't want to negotiate. Yeah, because folks, if they have someone to negotiate to, then they have then they don't really have an excuse to continue the ethnic cleansing they're doing in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Okay, Espion. Plus, there won't be any other group left to serve as protection for the Palestinians. Yeah, yep, absolutely, Espion. Okay, it's so obvious. I mean, it is so obvious. It is so obvious. Like. It is so obvious what they're doing. I just have no patience left for people who don't see it. It's so obvious. Okay. Meowzord, who's in charge here? No one? Well, maybe I could be the leader. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Meowzord. Yep. And if you're at war with, if you're at war with Hamas and there's no leadership to negotiate, well, then I guess you're perpetually at war, and it gives you an excuse to keep occupying, displacing, killing vast numbers of innocent people in Palestine. Okay, Mithril, it couldn't be, could it, that the Israelis are not interested in negotiation? Right? Shocking, Mithril. Shocking. Yeah. So I mean, okay. You all know this stuff gets to
part
me.
of its leadership, the entirety of its leadership, that will remain to be seen. But regardless, this will have enormous implications for the future of the war in Gaza, for the fate of the hostages, and the possibility of bringing all of this to an end.
Jeremy Diamond, stand by for a second, if you will. Check back in with your sources if you need a second on that, because the next big bit of information will be whether or not this was successful or not. In the meantime, I want to bring in Kim Dozier, CNN Global Affairs analyst. You've been listening to these reports, beginning to see some pictures trickling in. We'll get them up for you as soon as we verified the pictures that we're seeing of these explosions inside Qatar. But what do you make of the timing and the messaging here?
Yeah, Dolly Boy, I just got to pause. Dolly Boy is 100% right. Remember, folks, right before this war, if you want to call it that, started, Netanyahu was under threat of being investigated for corruption and things like that. And it serves him great politically that he draws out this process of the war. Because remember what I said earlier, a wartime president is typically very popular, and it's very hard to sort of remove that person while you're at war because it causes instability in the government, and you don't want that during a wartime. So he explicitly has political reasons for wanting to continue this for as long as possible, if not ideological ones, okay?
Well, President Trump had just said something about giving the last warning in the next 48 hours. So this could have been coordinated with Washington, but we don't know. But it is shocking that the Israelis would attack inside a Gulf capital where there's no combat activity whatsoever. The last time they did something like this was...
Is it? I mean, I don't think it's that shocking. I think we all get it. Mithril and the British government, which is a signatory to the ICC and ICJ, are going to welcome Netanyahu. Yeah, well, I will say at least the UK is a signatory. The United States, who apparently likes war criminals, isn't. J-Mac, I find it curious that Trump defends any right-wing world leader who is accused of any sort of corruption. I wonder why, J-Mac, right? I wonder why.
Assassination that allegedly targeted a Hamas leader in the United Arab Emirates in 2010 in a hotel, and those agents were caught on camera. That's how that attack was revealed. But to do an airstrike in the middle of a very busy capital, Doha is a very modern city. In the time of day, there would have been a lot of...
Right, Meowzord. These psychopaths love to kill their enemies. I'm sure they know deep down they should face justice. Putin with journalists, Trump with Epstein. Oh, 100%, 100%.
Traffic around. So I've been trying to reach Qatari contacts to ask if any civilians were killed or injured in this attack. I think that will determine what a lot of the reaction is going to be, just how precise this was.
Will it?
But, these were the people that Qatar was negotiating through. And historically, the Hamas officials in Doha were the ones more likely to say yes to negotiations, to compromises, than the more hardline Hamas leaders inside Gaza.
Yeah, you just ran down a list of questions I have. What does this mean if it's successful for Hamas? What does it mean for Qatar and its role as an intermediary? And what is it?
That is a fair point. Mithril says it makes it worse in some ways, casual revolt. It shows Sir Kids Starvers. Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I love that myth. I'm going to say that from now on. Kid starvers, utter disdain for international law. That's a fair point. They are signatories, and they're just going to blatantly ignore it. Okay, you're right. That does almost make it worse.
Mean for the United States, as the president in the Trump administration is standing by, watching and involving itself where it can in negotiations.
Yeah, if it proves that the U.S. was informed of this ahead of time, it's really going to damage relations with Doha. And Qatar has been a key nation to do outreach, for instance, to Iran, to several different actors that the U.S. normally doesn't talk to directly. But most importantly, with the UN General Assembly coming up, there was a hope that some sort of a last-ditch compromise deal would be reached, that Hamas would agree to this turning over all 48 Israeli hostages, including those deceased, in a 48-hour period in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners, and that might forestall this imminent Israel full.
See, also, that's just dumb. Does the U.S. government really think that that is what will stop Israel's actions in Gaza? Like, at this point, really, you think that that's all that Israel wants is they just want the hostages released, okay, of whom they have also killed many. Okay, there were several members of Israel's cabinet who said, "Oh, we don't really care about the hostages or whatever." Okay, I mean,
scale invasion of Gaza City, where Israeli officials have said they're going to basically hit every single building because they think Hamas has tunnels underneath and has command centers throughout the city. And that's going to be devastating to those who are refusing to leave. I don't see how Hamas says yes to that after this strike.
I think we did just get some video in. I saw a flash frame go up there of smoke rising over the skyline in Doha. You can see right there a pan. Not sure I see anything in this shot, but there are others that we have in right now.
Okay.
Maybe smoke.
All right. So I just wanted to show that to all of you. I just want to Linux Lover, welcome to chat, Linux Lover. Have you been in here before, Linux Lover? I don't remember. What is Linux Lover asks, what is the final goal of Israel with this? Well, Linux Lover, I don't know for sure, but I can tell you what all the actions speak to it being. So and plus, there are a lot of I've actually seen it, Matt Saigai. We actually watched it on stream. So a lot of the cabinet members around Netanyahu have said that their goal is to take over the Gaza Strip, okay, and remove the population there. They've openly said it. And given their actions, it doesn't seem like they do want an end because they want an excuse to continue ethnically cleansing the Gaza Strip so they can take it over. Netanyahu has opened, there have been lots of talk in Israel amongst the far right wing. And again, folks, I'm not generalizing here about Israelis overall. They are human beings. There's lots of variation, but the current right wing government of Israel would love to ethnically cleanse it. And they also want to form Greater Israel. They've actually taken a chunk of Syria and are occupying it now. So that's what they want to do. They just want to control the Gaza Strip. They want to remove the population there and settle it. And all the indications seem to appear that is what they're going for, which is why there's all this, we want peace, then we're going to kill the negotiators. We want peace again. We're going to kill the negotiators. We're going to continue this war indefinitely and continue to ethnically cleanse everything. Okay. And yeah, exactly, J-Mac. They can continue acting like victims. That's right, Linux Lover. Glad to see you. Okay. All right, guys. So there was that. Just another little thing here. The last thing I wanted to talk to you before we get to no, you're right, Matt Saigai. You're right, Matt Saigai. I'm extra careful though when I talk about it because there are people out there who are anti-Semitic. Obviously, it is overblown when it comes to Israel, right? You can criticize a government or a country without being anti-Semitic, and you're right. Something like 60% of Israelis, when surveyed, say that they wouldn't mind Gaza being ethnically cleansed. So that does leave about 40% who don't like that. Excuse me. But yeah. So okay. One other thing I wanted to show you all here is there's a couple other things actually. Is this article that was on the New York Times today? All right. By the way, folks, if we get 4 more super chats, we're kind of slow with super chats today. No, and by the way, I understand that. But if we do get 4 more, I will put on the jester makeup. Okay. This right here, okay, is an article that appeared in the New York Times today. And it does not look good. Okay. You all know I'm a teacher, so this was particularly disturbing to me. I do hope you will, indulge me here a little bit. Welcome to chat, Louise. Welcome back. Okay. And by the way, I agree. Jeremy Corbyn, I hope he gets, who was it that's mentioned Jeremy Corbyn? He might, there is some hope there with Jeremy Corbyn. Okay. Okay. So, reading skills. So a study was done recently. They found out that the reading skills of 12th graders in America, okay, have reached a new low. All right. I mean, 12th graders are adults, right? They're 18-year-olds. That's for those who in chat who don't know, 12th grade is the last basically grade that you go through public education. And so that's like the last year of high school. And then after that, you go to college or get a job or whatever the case would be. And this new report came out that shows that 12th graders are reading at an all-time low level. High school seniors have the worst reading score since 1992. I guess since 1992, on a national test, a loss possibly related to increases in screen time and the pandemic. Their math scores are also going down. Okay. A third of 12th graders who were tested do not have basic reading skills. It was a sign that, among other skills, they may not be able to determine the purpose of a political speech. In math, nearly half of the test takers scored below the basic level, meaning they may not have mastered skills like using percentages to solve real-world problems. Okay. So what grades did I teach, Alyssa? I taught 9th through 12th. Okay, I was a high school teacher. So these are the folks I would be teaching. And yeah. And I definitely saw some of this in the classroom when I was still working in a school before I lost my job. But this just kind of goes to prove it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. They also arrive. So there's yet another sign that adolescents are struggling in the wake of the virus. When schools were closed for months or more, they also arrived at a time when Americans overall are abandoning print text for screen time and video-dominated social media, which experts have linked to declining academics. So all the internet stuff is causing an issue here, folks. And folks, I got to tell you too, it is really hard to learn when you're struggling economically. Have I mentioned this before? I literally would have to feed students who came in because they hadn't had breakfast. The families of students are struggling, and therefore students are struggling. There's a lot of extra stress, and it's really hard to learn. So there are lots of other factors here too. Mental health issues are rising amongst young people. Depression, anxiety, partially because of social media, partially because of the political situation, partially because of a whole bunch of things. All these things are going to screw us over in the end. Okay, very much screw us over in the end. Okay. All right. The NAEP test results indicate a stark decline in performance, and Matthew Soldner, an acting commissioner of the National Center for Education Statistics, the arm of the Federal Education Department that administered the test, okay? He said only about a third, this is so bad, only about a third of 12th graders are leaving high school with the reading and math skills necessary for college-level work. Okay. No, that is true, Macon. That is true. That partially because we're better at recognizing those issues. Okay, so again, this is very bad. And we already have an issue, folks. Remember how we've talked about how in authoritarian regimes, the language gets destroyed, right? Read Orwell talked about this a lot, okay? Like the English language suffers under authoritarianism. Authoritarianism often causes language to become simplified and yet less useful, okay? And now we have a generation who doesn't know how to read. I mean, this is really bad, okay? So I just wanted to direct your attention to this. Another sign of the times. Right, Macy, right, okay. This is what we're going to, and this is largely the result of defunding education, of too much screen time, the effects of the internet, mental health issues, the economy. It doesn't look good. Okay, it doesn't look good. All right, guys. So that was that last thing I wanted to show you there. I will also say that there was another article today Oh, by the way, I guess a live news update here. Nepal is sending its military, right, J-Mac? Yeah, Alyssa. Then there are students who struggle more with it. I mean, there's different capabilities and things like that. But it's, a lot of times students when they're younger will have issues with reading, and then teachers and such will be able to get them up to the proper level by the time they're in high school. But if they're leaving high school, with very low reading, then that's a big issue, okay? Because then there's no one else left to sort of help improve those numbers. Okay. So also an update here, folks. I guess Nepal's army is sending in troops because protesters have set fire to their parliament. Based. Okay, anyway. And has everyone seen the image? It's another thing I wanted to briefly mention. Has everyone seen the image of the letter that Donald Trump sent Jeffrey Epstein? I'll put it on the screen here. I just saw it. I don't know where it went. This was released yesterday. It is the letter that Donald Trump sent Jeffrey Epstein. Here it is. Oh, there it is. It's really creepy. All right. And his signature is at the bottom. And this is what it says. A voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything. Donald. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Yeah. Pretty disturbing. Oh, thank you, Alyssa, for the super chat. Thank you. Did I see the check? What? I'm sorry. What check, Alyssa? I'm sorry. Yeah, forgive me, Alyssa. Would you Oh, you mean the well, sorry, Alyssa. What are you referring to? The check. Hello, Altiego Brando. Okay. And by the way, folks, he signs it. They don't have it down here, but they sign it. Yep, the check reality solidified for me that he's not protect PDFs. He's one of yep, yep. Oh yeah, the check. I know what I'm sorry, I get it, Alyssa. I have not seen the check. I would need to look at that, okay? Yeah, they definitely diddled kids. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, it's obvious. What do we think he's referring to? Oh, our wonderful secret that we have together, okay? Yes, Alyssa. I have seen it. It definitely solidified it for me too. Yes. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you for the super chat as well, okay? So this is, I mean, pretty gross. And by the way, his signature is below here. They don't have it on here, and it's pretty obvious it's his signature because it looks the same as all of his other signatures. And on this image, it is pubic hair essentially, which is gross. Okay. But anyway, so just another thing to notice. Okay. Yeah, there are sick photos. Also, Kimberly Jean. So this was released yesterday. Now, folks, I got to be honest with you. I don't think it'll change a damn thing. I don't think it'll change a damn thing. MAGA, they've already started saying it's fake. Okay, it's not going to change anyone's mind. Unfortunately, MAGA is a cult. So I don't. That's welcome back, Drusilla. Yes, DT said he doesn't draw women. He didn't say anything about. Oh my God, that's gross, Drusilla. I didn't even think of that. Not a lot of boobs on that drawing. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Oh, I know, right? Altiego Brando, Trump discussed me for protecting predators as someone who was exploited at 14. I'm so sorry to hear that, Altiego Brando. You're right. Okay, Alyssa. Now they'll spin it. Remember, he was an FBI informant. Now, you're right, Alyssa. I mean, so, no, you're right, J-Mac. That is fair. And so I might be wrong about this, especially if the rest of the files do end up getting released. J-Mac says, it's totally a cult, but there are some MAGA peeps that are angry as hell about being lied to about the files being released. I mean, that was like their entire belief system. Yeah, that's fair, J-Mac. Hopefully, if they do get released, I do hope it'll eventually change things, but we'll see. I guess I don't have much faith though in this doing that, unless But anyway, but it's possible, JMac. I could be wrong about that. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna go back to my face here. Okay. All right. So guys, I'm going to do some of the Discord reactions now, probably only one or two. Given the time, I've been streaming for about 2 hours, so I'll probably do a few, like 2 or 3. Let me see what we have here on Discord. Again, folks, if we get 3 more super chats, I will put on the jester makeup. Okay. Okay. Let me see what we got here on Discord for me to react to. What is he still here? The one who sent me the George Washington video, Nicholas. Nicholas, are you still here, Nicholas? I don't want to watch it unless you're here. If you're still here, Nicholas, let me know. I will do that. Matt Saigai, what was the video you sent me? Yeah, you're right, Big Braden. It ain't no me, that's me. Yes, Matt. Oh, that's you. That's like that posted the George Washington thing. Oh wait, no, I see. You're saying okay, yeah. That's like I'll find that video. Would you remind me what it's titled? Because it might be far back if I missed it. Let me go see here. Okay, let me see here. Reactions. Again, folks, if you are new to the channel, you can join our Discord. I posted the link at the in a pin at the top of the chat page. Let me see here if I can look at it, Matt Saigai. Almost train time. Hey, okay, Macy. Good luck, Macy. Okay, thank you for the super chat, Macy. Yeah, I have. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Can you, Matt Saigai, do you? Nah, I'm a repost. Okay, sounds good. I'll wait for that repost, folks. I feel bad that I knew I missed some people's stuff because there's so many good things on there. Thank you very much, Macy, for that super chat. Good luck, Macy, getting on that train, etc. Okay, I'll wait here for a second for Matt Saigai. Matt Saigai being a staple on the show, I ought to react to something he sends at some point, right? Okay. All right. Okay. You know what, Matt Saigai? While Matt Saigai is doing that, I'm just going to watch a really short one. Okay. We'll just watch. This is only 3 minutes long. We'll watch this one. This is from Macy here. Oops. Oh, I found it. Thank you, Matt Saigai. You know what? We'll do that first then. All right. Oops, sorry. How do I shut that up? There we go. All right. Let me I'm trying to figure out where that sound is coming from. Give me a second here. Where is that? Why can't I find it? Huh. I don't know where the sound is coming from. One second, folks. I'm having a little issue here. Oh gosh, everything's falling apart. Okay, give me a second here, folks. Okay, there we go. One second, folks. Oh, I can hear it. That you guys can't, but I can hear it. Give me a second. Just got an issue. All right, there we go. Okay. So let's watch this. Thank you, Matt Saigai, for sending this. We'll watch this real fast. Okay. All right. So thank you, Matt Saigai, for sending this. I am going to, we'll watch it together here. Give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of tech issue. Just let me fix it real fast. Okay. We'll watch this. All right, guys. So we'll watch this real fast. Thank you, Matt Saigai. This is from Matt Saigai. Let me make sure we can all hear it and hear it good. I think we can. All right, and let's go. Make sure it'll actually capture the right audio here. There we go. Okay. All right, here we go.
Why doesn't Egypt take Palestinians? This is like someone going into Fifth Avenue, shooting someone in the face. And it's like, why don't they?
Okay, Matt Saigai, you're already after my heart. For those who have been in my streams for a while, we all remember the day, right? The day where we were talking about Egypt. I won't go into it for those who don't know, but I kind of lost my cool on stream, and I can already tell Matt Saigai that I'm going to appreciate this video. Okay, let's put it that way.
Neighbors don't bury the body. You're the guy doing the killing, not Egypt. So stop talking about Egypt. Anyways, and I would like to, like Jonathan and his likes, to please stop Zionizing us. Stop the Zionizing. Zionizing, it's a verb which means to gaslight someone with such shameless, narcissistic, psychopathic audacity that you deny reality to their faces while simultaneously playing the victim, engaging in endless circle debates that go nowhere and displaying a complete loss of empathy. And
by the way, who's this guy in the lower left hand? He's a monster. He lies constantly. We used to work for the IDF. I can't remember his name. Jonathan something.
Basic humanity, right? Remember, Pierce, why the first video went viral? Because I called Israel a narcissistic, psychopathic behavior that fucks you over and then makes you think it's your fault. Because this is what Israel does. It didn't happen. And if it did, you're remembering it wrong. And if you're not, it's your fault because you're looking into my phone. Narcissists lived in their own made-up reality. They don't share your reality. They live in their own custom-made universe where facts are negotiable and truth is whatever serves them in the moment. And when it comes back and when you corner them, they throw tantrums, accusation, Hamas, anti-Semitism, full victimhood mood. And it's pointless to debate with them, right? Because take him, for example, and the likes of him. You show them a video, it didn't happen. You show them UN reports, these are lies. Yep. You mention international law, it's complicated. You get testimonies on the ground from...
All right, folks, remember what I've said about fascism, okay? And I know I'm always talking about fascism, but for example, in Germany, I mean, there's this idea under fascism, Die Welt ist meine Vorstellung, which in German means the world is basically however I view it to be. Facts don't really matter to fascists. Like, it's sort of a cult-like mentality. All that matters is what you're told. You create your own reality. The facts don't really matter. It's all about emotion, right? So if you have an emotional investment in your state, like a lot of Israelis do, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what the facts are. They can justify it with their emotional biases. Okay.
Doctors and nurses at Hamas propaganda. Yeah, we saw it with our own eyes. Your optic nerve is anti-Semitic. Like Israel is like Shaggy. We saw you won the hospital. It wasn't me. We saw you killed the children. It wasn't me. Dude, your war crimes are documented. Hamas propaganda. Also, it wasn't me. There is no point of debating gaslighters. We have 4K videos, satellite imagery, and your own soldiers posting on TikTok bragging about killing children. But of course, the entire planet is having a mass hallucination, right?
I love that, Matt Saigai. Thank you for that. I love Bassam Youssef. Okay, fantastic. Always speaking the truth to power. I love it. Love it very much. Okay. All right, guys. Let me see what else we got here in Discord to react to. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of good ones here. Macy has a lot of good ones. Okay, let's try. Okay, we'll do this one here. This is from Macy. I said I was about to watch one of Macy's. I'm gonna find. I found this one. Okay, laughing through their tears. Let's do this one here. I know I keep saying that and then not doing it. Okay. Okay, I'll watch this one. I like More Perfect Union, so we'll watch this one from Macy here. This is.
I'm Mark Cuban. I do big.
Okay. All right. So this is called Mark Cuban Doesn't Want You to See This by More Perfect Union, which is a great organization. Okay. Advocates for labor rights, workers' rights, etc. And by the way, folks, if we get 2 more super chats, I'll put on the makeup. And if we get 10 more, I will stream for another hour. But I will probably be getting off here in a few minutes. But anyway, okay. Mark Cuban doesn't want you to know. Okay. So I am not a fan of Mark Cuban. Yes, I know there are a lot of liberals who love Mark Cuban. There's even some lefties who do. I am not a big fan. Okay. Because I don't know, I'm just not a big fan. He's a billionaire, claims to be somewhat progressive, but push comes to shove, he doesn't really want any major reforms. He's okay with some more taxes on the wealthy. Okay. So let's watch what Mark Cuban has to say, what this is about, what Mark Cuban doesn't want you to know. It's kind of like the argument, well, there were some good slave owners. Yeah. No. Okay. They're slave owners. Mark Cuban is another example of not slavery, obviously, but there are some good oligarchic capitalists. I don't know about that. Okay. But let's see what Macy sent us here.
Business, and I'm woke. I'm a shark. Shut up. Isn't he one of the good ones? The good what? Rich dudes?
Yeah, there we go.
Like, he's nice. There's nothing nice about hoarding $6 billion while people starve.
You're right.
But he made his money by hustling. Wrong.
You're right, Big Brain.
When Mark was 16, there was a strike at the local newspaper in Pittsburgh, so he went to Cleveland, brought newspapers back, and sold them 5 times their cost. So, he's a shark. No, he's a scab. Instead of standing with workers on strike, he took advantage of it to make money. But he's a crypto guy, so that's cool. He was a Dogecoin guy and an early investor in Dave, which is an app that allowed for cash advancements. Now it's in a lawsuit with the FTC. Because, allegedly, they rarely gave cash advances.
Wow.
They got access to customers' bank accounts and took tips, claiming to be charity donations, but only 10% of each tip actually went to a charity. But he seems funny and nice on Twitter. Oh, on Twitter, so nice and funny. But he's nicer than other billionaires. His proximity to people with worse politics does not make him a hero by comparison. He seems nice. That doesn't make him good. He's literally known for selling before the big dot-com crash. So he made his money by turning money into more money, just moving money around to become a...
And remember we were talking yesterday about civilizations and how a lot of times the people at the top of the hierarchy don't actually do much for society. And we have that today too, right? A lot of the people at the top, all they do is they move money around in fancy ways in order to make more money. They don't even have to contribute much to the world, like Mark Cuban.
But the Mavericks, he sold his shares to the Adelson family, one of the biggest donors to AIPAC.
Who? Sheldon Adelson owned Las Vegas Sands Corporation.
And
also, one of the biggest donors to Donald Trump are the Adelsons.
3 major Israeli news outlets.
Oh.
Now the Adelsons are the majority owners of the Mavericks. But he can't control who's willing to buy the Mavericks. Why not? You think he needed those extra billions for groceries to make rent? Be serious. But his new company's trying to sell drugs for cheaper. That's good. Selling drugs for a bit cheaper than their overpriced amounts sounds like something someone on The Wire would do. Are you saying he's a drug dealer? I'm saying instead of using his capital to buy patents and make drugs and sell them for just above the cost to make and distribute, he's instead marking them all up 15%. And that 15% markup is on top of pharmacy labor costs and shipping. So this is Mark finding a way to profit off of people whose insurance doesn't cover their medicines or who don't have any insurance.
Also profiting off our tax dollars, because then Medicare, Medicaid will have to pay for that increase in cost because the government can't negotiate those drug prices by law, which is barbaric and stupid.
But what about Shark Tank? His big investment was not in the products, but the show. What? He put millions into this show that pushes the narrative that you can become anything in America while social mobility has been declining since the 1940s. What? In the 1940s, 90% of kids did better than their parents. Today, it's less than 50%. So Shark Tank is propaganda? And for that reason, I'm out. Oh, I'm Mark Cuban.
I love it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Mark Cuban. I get annoyed at liberals and stuff who love him and view him as like this savior and all this nonsense. But he's just a dirty capitalist like the rest of them, in my opinion. Okay, even if he does support things like gay rights and things like that, kind of like Pete Buttigieg, who I nearly lost my. I'm going to put my face back up here, folks. I nearly lost my mind when Pete. Yeah, you're right, JMac. Also funding genocide by the Zionist organizations. So as you all know, I'm gay. Okay, well, at least I think all of you know this. And one of the things that really bothers me. Okay, Pete Buttigieg. All right. He is a slimy, rat-faced politician who is extremely corrupt and was not a good transportation secretary because he just took a bunch of money. Hey, that's okay, J-Mac. Hey, I got it. Okay. Well, I guess. So there, I guess I'll just say it then, J-Mac. For those in chat who don't know, I am a gay man. Okay. There you go, J-Mac. So Pete Buttigieg, right? When he was like trying to run for president, there were a lot of LGBTQ folks coming out and going, "Oh, Pete Buttigieg, we love you. Oh my God, go Pete Buttigieg. We want you to win. He'll be better than all the others." Okay. No, he won't. Okay, and he constantly uses the fact that he's gay as sort of a reason why you should support him because he must be a good progressive, right? He's gay. No, he's a corporate robot, just like the rest of them. Okay. Anyway, so I know Mark Cuban, not gay, but I'm just saying Mark Cuban does that too. Like, I'm progressive. I support gay rights and stuff. I don't know about that. Some of the worst issues affecting gay people, transgender people is homelessness. Yeah, J-Mac, I totally get it, okay? He's just another corporate Democrat. This is what J-Mac says, just another corporate Democrat. I got into a fight with my old boss about this. LOL. He thinks somehow he's going to win the presidency. Oh my God, J-Mac. Yeah, no. Christ. Yeah, and you're not the first. I've known people, especially gay men, okay, to be honest, who love Pete, and it makes me want to unalive myself. Okay. So okay, Matt Saigai, Richie Torres is gay. I didn't know that Matt Saigai, but there, proof positive, right? Heck, I know Peter Thiel is a gay man. Okay, Peter Thiel is a gay man. So is the founder of OpenAI. Okay, so like, by the way, folks, maybe this is a spicy take. I hope not. Identity does not make you a good person or a bad person. Identity is just like, for example, you can exactly, J-Mac, exactly. Fun fact, you can be gay and support genocide, right? You can also be a gay man, by the way, and be homophobic. Okay. You can be black and support genocide. You can be like, my point is like, your identity does not, this is the thing, right? Everyone is human. So skin color, sexual orientation, ethnicity, people are human beings. There are good and bad people in every group, or I should say people can do good or bad things in every group, okay? Just because you're a woman or because you're gay or because you aren't white doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good person, okay? It drives me crazy. And a lot of times, like I'm sure you guys have seen this, like if you were to mention that, like for example, when Kamala Harris was running or after Kamala Harris lost, there was a lot of blowback. The Democratic Party was like, she lost because she's a black woman. And hey, it's very possible that was a factor in it, but it ignores the issue that she wasn't promoting a policy that was good. Okay. Kimberly Jean, people are cheering. Sorry, I just missed a few chats here. Aren't all gay guys amazing? Drusilla, yes, we are. Yes, we are. All of us are perfect little angels and don't do anything wrong whatsoever. Anyway, yeah, Kimberly Jean, people are cheering for Newsom now too. I love that he trolls Trump too, but I still remember he's a corporate Dem. People forget. Oh, I know, Kimberly Jean. Yeah, and I'm worried. J-Mac was mentioning this, but like I'm worried that Pete Buttigieg, because he's also been doing a lot of vocal fighting against Trump, and he's good at talking, just like Newsom is. But that doesn't mean you're going to make the changes necessary to end fascism. Yeah, it doesn't even mean you're an ally. Correct, Bettina. J-Mac, the thing is, though, people who think they're part of the in-group will find out the hard way. Oh, 100%, J-Mac. Yeah, okay. Like, J-Mac, trying to think of an example. Candace Owens, for example, okay? She's part of the in-group right now. I suspect that she'll come to regret that if, you see what I mean, okay? Like, or let's put someone like Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo Yiannopoulos, okay? Another gay man who is a horrible human being, because once again, he's a human being. The gay thing doesn't change anything about your character, okay? So, yeah, he has, Drusilla. Yeah, he has. He said some weird things. Yeah, Bettina, 100%. All the anti-feminist women out there. What's that one woman's name? Pearly Things on YouTube, who's like extremely anti-feminist and promotes women not being able to vote or whatever the case. Like, anyway, it's just an ongoing issue of mine. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner, very good. Yes, Mithril. And just remember, folks, the Democratic Party does identity politics too, but it's often to distract from how crappy their economic policies are, okay? So like, right? Like, so they will be like, oh, well, Pete Buttigieg, he's a gay man. He must be very progressive. He's gay. We need a gay person in charge of the country. But maybe don't look at the fact that he's massively corrupt. He supports the corporations. He's bribed by them, and he was a horrible transportation secretary. He's gay. He's gay, though. He's gay. It doesn't mean a damn thing, folks. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Okay. I know I'm kind of losing my mind here, but it's an ongoing issue I have, especially with people in the gay community. Anyway, okay. Yeah, Pete is shit. Okay. Anyway, and it has nothing to do with him being gay, folks. Yep. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Fox Album. Totally forgot about that. Pete is also a transphobe. Okay. Yeah, 100% Meowzord. And Meowzord, I have seen. So Meowzord says, I did work in a heavily gay industry. Lots of people use gayness as a cope. I have met gay men who are, for example, extremely misogynistic against women, or but they use the fact that they're gay to kind of like play it off. Okay, like, but I'm gay. Like, it doesn't like. No, you're a misogynistic piece of shit. Or like, because they're still men, by the way, and a lot of men have. Anyway, okay, makes sense. Women have cooties. J-Mac. Okay, Big Braden. Wait, you're telling me being gay doesn't translate to being a good president? Yeah, shocking, right, Big Braden? Right, yeah, right, Macy. I'm okay with that. Okay. I worked in corporate Broadway theater, and yes, 100% what you're saying is true. Yes, Meowzord, and I will say, folks, people have trouble saying this stuff a lot of the time because there are a lot of people out there who will make an assumption that, for example, you're being homophobic, or it bothers me. Okay, it bothers me. I am an anti-racist. I am anti-homophobia. I mean, I think you all know this. Okay, but it's kind of like the whole criticizing Israel is the same as anti-Semitism, right? And it drives me crazy. Okay, I think you all get my point there. All right. So let me see here. Okay. All right, you guys. So I believe I'm gonna get off now. Let me just check, make sure I didn't miss any things here. And just one last point on that, folks. Just be sure, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if they're black or white or gay or straight or trans or cis or anything. Look at who's donating to them. Look at what they're advocating for. Look who's financing them and things like that. Anyway, okay. So all right. Now, well, admittedly, sometimes identity can be if they're advocating good things and they have a certain identity that might allow them to be more empathetic towards a certain group, that might be a good thing. But you have to have the other stuff first, though. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. It's just a pet peeve of mine. That is true, right? I think Mithril, I agree, right? We do need a gay man in office because, boy, would the White House look fantastic, right? And the fashion would go up through the roof. Yeah, thank you. Look at what they've done, not what they're saying. Their identity is not, it's almost a weird sort of reverse racism, reverse, I don't know, homophobia thing, where like you assume that someone's identity is what they are as a person. You see what I mean? Like those are only parts of people's identity. They're human beings. Human beings can be bad, they can be good. So I mean, it's not identity is not okay. All right, I'll be quiet now. Okay. All right. So guys, let me see here. We didn't get to the super chat. That's fine. I will. All right. I'm going to get off for now, folks. I will say this. Okay. Tomorrow, I'm getting surgery. Okay. Don't worry. It's nothing too severe. I have to. One of my right now, I'm kind of in pain because one of my there's at least one person in chat that knows this, but one of my teeth literally cracked in half. So I have to go in to get it extracted, et cetera, and get a what is it like a the thing you put in there instead, a implant. Okay, so I might not be streaming tomorrow because I will likely be in pain, or I will likely have just had surgery. So I might, but I might not. We'll see how I feel after that. I will likely be streaming on Thursday, unless I'm still in a lot of pain or whatever. I will try to post a video though on YouTube tomorrow at least, so at least there's something there. But I will see all of you then. Thank you, Druzilla. Thank you. And by the way, folks, it's going to cost $3,000, and I currently don't have a job. So thank you, American Healthcare. Thank you, American Healthcare, for that nonsense. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, all right. All right, folks. You know what's coming. You know what's coming. So here we go. All right, guys. First of all, free Palestine. Free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way you can resist is to think for yourselves. The easiest way you can resist is to think for yourselves. That includes when you watch me. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. See what other people are saying. Don't get stuck in an information bubble. That includes when you're watching me. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Okay. Nextly here, okay, we're living in a fascist moment in this country, not only in this country, but around the world. There are many places where fascist movements are taking place and gaining ground. Fascism thrives in an environment where people have lost faith in their democratic institutions, so they turn to more extreme means to fix those issues, okay? The way to combat about this, to slow it down or stop it, is for major reforms, to give people faith in their democracy again. We need major reforms in this country. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you. They will walk all over you. Okay. Don't let them do it. We need major reforms in this country. Lastly, on the wall behind me is a sword. Okay. You can see it back there. That sword is Chainbreaker. Why do I have it back there? Okay. Chainbreaker is a sword from the Civil War. It's been passed on my family. It is thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. I have it back there to remind everyone that our ancestors have made major sacrifices in the past for some of the things we have today. We cannot let their sacrifice go to waste, folks. Please do not let their sacrifice go to waste, and always fight for a better future. And on that note, folks, Demosthenes, thank you for the super chat. I wasn't trying to get like sympathy money, but really, thank you, Demosthenes. I really appreciate it. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you again, Demosthenes. Okay. Oh, guys, you're gonna make me cry here. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Plant Sunshine. And now we got the goal, but unfortunately, I'm about to get off. Okay. But thank you guys very much for all that. All right. Okay. And I am not Meowzord. That was not the limit. Okay. All right, guys. Okay, guys. I love you very much. Thank you all for everything. Really. You all, by the way, you all have helped me get through some pretty rough times in my own life. So thank you very much for that. Okay. All right, guys. You have a good rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.